What's up, Bargain family? Welcome back to my channel. So today's video is all about Dollar Tree Christmas DIYs. I know it's a bit early, but it takes time to DIY, so hopefully this gives you guys some time to do that or some inspiration if you're looking for some new pieces for your Christmas decor or a new theme. Let me know down in the comments below the weather near you guys. Has it gotten any cooler? I asked this question in my fall video, and for me in this area I live in, we were in the 70s and I was getting excited thinking, oh, we're cooler temps. No, we're in the mid 80s now. Let me know the weather near you down in the comments. I will see you guys. Now let's begin. The next time you're in Dollar Tree, grab some punch bowls and fluted bowls. They have them in a bunch of different colors. I'm going to be using red for this particular project. What I'm going to do is I'm going to glue two punch bowls together by using some E6000 and then a little bit of hot glue. I use hot glue because it just dries quickly and I want to move this right along, but E6000 does a really good job of holding everything together. Then I glue the fluted bowls to what would be the bottom of the punch bowls. I also did this with some clear bowls, but first I glue a punch bowl and fluted bowl together and then I drill a hole. You want to be slow and steady with your drill. If you go too fast, you're going to crack the plastic. Once I have the hole there, I glue on the other side of this, and then I'm going to feed some fairy lights through the hole. These fairy lights I got from Amazon. I like them because you can turn them all on at once with a remote control. You can get fairy lights at Dollar Tree, but you have to turn them all on individually. So I'll link these down below for you guys. And what we made are some jumbo pieces of candy, and you can use this outside. Best of all, it is so cool and inexpensive to make. You can make this real inexpensive by not doing the fairy lights. It's completely up to you, but this is an awesome idea for the holiday season. This is so awesome, you guys. The next time you're in Dollar Tree, check out the party supply section. Look for their hats, especially the glitter hats. What you're going to do is you are just going to trim the bottom portion of the hats off. So lots of the hats have a black line going through them or a silver line. You're going to get rid of that. You might be able to find these hats that have a happy birthday little piece on there that slides right off, and then you can again trim the bottom part off. What you're doing is making some jumbo gumdrops. You can place them all down individually somewhere inside of your house, or you can glue some together. So I decided to glue 6 of them together to create one bigger unit that's easier to move around. You can see here I can grab this with one hand and it's good to go. This is so cool, you guys, because all it is cutting down a hat from Dollar Tree. I love the way that this looks, especially because you guys know me, I love the whole little fake sweet look. So this DIY you see me doing right here was actually done for summertime. When I was done making it, I was like, you know what, this looks like a snowman. So what you do is you glue 6 punch bowls together. You're just stacking one bowl on top of the other, and you can use clamps to keep them in place as you wait for the glue to dry. Once the glue dries, you can then paint the bowls. You can use whatever type of paint you like. I'm using a spray paint just because it's quicker to use and I just prefer to use it. Now I used my Cricut to cut out some vinyl pieces that I'm using for the faces of my snowmen, as well as the coal buttons and the arms. Now you do not need a Cricut for this. You can always use paint. If you want to use this outside, I recommend using an outdoor paint. I placed a hat on one of the snowmen, and that's how you make some snowmen with the punch bowls from Dollar Tree. You guys, this is so easy and it's super cool. If you want to weight this down a little bit, just add some rocks or something to the very bottom bowl before you glue everything together, and that would come in especially handy if you're going to place this outside. For our next DIY, I'm going to be using these candy jars from Dollar Tree. I'm not going to be using the lid, and I'm going to paint these. Now you're going to have to do at least 2 layers of paint to get an opaque look. So you'll do your first layer, let it dry, and then go in with your paint to paint on the second layer. Once that's dry, paint on a face. So I'm doing, I call it a dummy face. It just kind of reminds me of those Crash dummies. It's a very basic face. You got some circle eyes, an easy smile, and then a circle nose with some circle cheeks. So I'm just using black and red paints for this. Now Dollar Tree carries these canisters in multiple sizes. I'm going to be using the largest one they carry for this, and I'm going to be painting this red. Again, you're going to have to do at least 2 layers of paint to get an opaque look. Once I have that down, I'm going to start painting features on this. So basically this is going to be a toy soldier. So I'm going to have a black belt on this. I did a white X, and then I did some gold belts. So do whatever you like. I'm just going for that classic toy soldier look. And this is what I mean. You don't always need a Cricut. It's nice because it's so easy to use. Everything comes out perfect, whereas using your hand, you know, lots of times you're gonna have imperfections. You're not gonna get the straightest line and all that. But you know what? You don't always need a Cricut. There are other options out there if you don't want one. For the arms, I'm going to be using some pool noodles from Dollar Tree. I cut them down and then I painted them with that ruby color because I wanted it to match the rest of the toy soldier. And then for the arms, I'm going to be using some styrofoam balls. Dollar Tree carries styrofoam balls. These are 6 for $4.49, and they are the size of the bigger balls that Dollar Tree tends to carry. What I like about these is it's a smooth foam, so it's easier to paint. If you use the Dollar Tree foam, it's not as smooth, so it's not as easy to paint because it absorbs the paint so much. Now's the time to stock up on planters from Dollar Tree. I'm going to be using the smaller ones that they carry for this project. I got a blue one that I wanted to be more of a denim blue color, so I went ahead and I painted that. Once that was dried, I then glue my canister to the inside of this planter. So the planter is supposed to be the legs of the toy soldier, and then the canister is the body. Then I glue on the candy jar. Obviously, this is the head. And on top of that, I glue on a black planter. I just flip it upside down and glue that to the candy jar. It only hits on the sides, so that's the only area where you can put glue. On the sides of this, I glued down the pool noodles, which is obviously the arms, and then the styrofoam balls, which are supposed to be the hands. I did paint a little bit more over this, but that is how I made some toy soldiers using Dollar Tree products. I don't know if you guys remember the ones from the 90s that you would find at Walmart. Those are really hard to find now, and they're expensive. This turned out really cool. It was inexpensive to make, and I have multiple styrofoam balls and pool noodle to use for other ones. I did make a golden pink one, and I'll link that down below for you guys my TikTok, because that one's going to go up on my TikTok account. I decided to make a bigger toy soldier, so I painted a canister black and I put that on top of a planter, but I ended up getting rid of the planter. And then on top of the black one, I glue 3 red canisters. I recommend weighing down the bottom canister. You can use rocks from Dollar Tree, you can use rocks around your house, you can use something else. If you don't weigh it down, this is really easy to tip over. Dollar Tree carries 2 different size candy jars. I'm using the larger one for this, and this twists on the canister, so I didn't put the lid back on the canister. Instead, I twisted on that jar. And then I'm going to put a planter on top of this, and this planter is a larger one from Dollar Tree. It's more like a medium size for what Dollar Tree carries, but it's larger than the one I used before. That's how I made this jumbo toy soldier. I'm so proud of how these turned out. I love them, and I actually want to do another tutorial using these, but make them so that they can be used outside. So keep your eyes open for that tutorial. Last year, I showed you guys how to make some fake cakes for the holiday season. We're going to do that again, but a little bit different. You're going to pick up some cylinder-shaped boxes from Dollar Tree. You're going to find this in the party section, and I recommend getting at least 2 different sizes. You're also going to purchase some felt. I got this glitter one from Hobby Lobby. So what you're going to do is you are going to cut some pieces that are going to go around the sides of your box. You're going to do this for both pieces. Then glue that felt to your box. More than likely, you're going to need 2 different pieces of felt to go around the entire box. So you're going to have these weird lines. I recommend keeping that part toward the back of your cake. Also trace the bottom of the boxes on a piece of felt and cut those pieces out. Then glue them to your box. So I did the first box, and once I had the first box done, which is the larger one, I glued the smaller box on top of the larger one, and then I glued down my felt. I'm going to be using some pieces not from Dollar Tree. I got them at Hobby Lobby. You can find them right now for 50% off. So I got these lollipops, and they cost me $7.50. I'm going to be putting 2 of these on the top of my cake. So to do that, I use a knife to slowly make a hole. You don't want to push it through right away because it can mess up the box. So slowly make that hole, then put your lollipop through the hole, and then use some hot glue to keep it in place. I did this, like I said, with 2 different lollipops. I'm going to make some icing. To do this, I'm using some gloss Mod Podge and paint. I pour both of these inside of a piping bag that I got from Dollar Tree, and I like to do about 75% Mod Podge to 25% paint. paint. And before I cut the piping bag, I go ahead and I mix it together by just kind of kneading the bag. Then I cut the piping bag and I cut a very small hole and start creating that icing look. Cut a small hole. That's what I recommend, especially when doing the drips. If you make it too big, you're gonna get it's just gonna turn into a big mess. So I start off with the drips and then I add a lot of icing to the top part of each layer of what's supposed to be, you know, obviously cake. I got these fake peppermints from Hobby Lobby. It's 6 of them for $1.50 on sale, and I'm going to be gluing some of those to the cake. I also got some sprinkles. So these fake sprinkles are from Michael's. I got them on sale last year and I paid around $2 for them. They get them in every single year, especially during Christmas time. It's actually called specialty glitter. Anyhow, I go ahead and I just put some of that on top of the icing. I got this peppermint lollipop pick from Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to glue that to the top of my cake. You can always make these pieces if you want to. I went to Hobby Lobby because they're the only place right now that's selling Christmas, but I'm sure when Dollar Tree starts getting in their Christmas items, you'll be able to find some peppermint picks that are very similar. Hobby Lobby also has these peppermint ornaments. They get them in every single year. This year it was $2 for one, again on sale, and I just cut the pieces off and I glued some of those to this cake. So just have fun with this. You can go to Hobby Lobby or another craft store and find a bunch of different pieces that you can use on top of the Dollar Tree boxes to make some really cute cakes. The final thing I did was glue some small pom-poms to the bottom of my cake. I love the way that this turned out. This is my favorite cake I've ever made, and I can't wait to make more this holiday season and share them with you guys. I always try to do them in unique, different ways, whether it's just using spackle or foam, felt. I'm just trying to think of new ways to share with you guys how to make it, to find stuff that suits you and your budget. You're gonna need foam board for this next DIY. Hobby Lobby carries these jumbo lollipops. Now this bigger one, it cost on sale about $9. Then the medium sized one on sale is about $7.50. So I'm gonna share with you guys how you can make a bunch for an inexpensive price. So you're gonna take your foam board and you're gonna trace a circle on top of the foam board. Since I have one of these lollipops, I'm using this as my guide, but you can honestly use anything. So I did 4 larger circles and then I did some smaller circles. I decided to take advantage of all the foam board that I have. Once I had them traced, I then go ahead and take a box cutter. You can use any type of razor you want to cut out the foam circles. I'm able to get 4 large circles with 1 piece of foam board. I'm also going to be using this glitter foam that I got from Hobby Lobby. I'm going to trace the bigger circle on the foam and then cut that circle out. So when I make my lollipop, I'm going to glue 2 of the foam circles together to just get a thicker piece, and then on top of that I glue my glitter foam, and I just put it on the front of the lollipop, not on the back. Now I purchased this thick yarn from Hobby Lobby, 30% off, and I recommend going to a craft store when you're doing projects like this instead of getting the yarn from Dollar Tree, because if you get it from Dollar Tree, you're gonna have to get a lot of yarn and you're gonna end up spending more at Dollar Tree versus going somewhere else and getting it there. So what I'm doing is I'm gluing the yarn around my circle. So I'm basically just doing a swirl design for a swirl lollipop. Have fun with your lollipops. You don't have to do exactly what I'm doing. Just use the foam kind of as your base and then do whatever you want. I got this glitter vase filler from Dollar Tree. I decided to use those as the sprinkles. I just put them around and then I glue them down. For my lollipop stick, I got these wooden dowels for 79 cents at Hobby Lobby. I'm going to glue them to the back of my lollipops and then I paint the stick white. I did cut the sticks though, so I had bigger pieces, but then I also had some smaller pieces I cut out of one dowel, so I could use the smaller ones for the smaller lollipops that I made. Then I got some ribbon also from Hobby Lobby, and I'm just going to wrap that around the dowel to get a peppermint look. You can always get the ribbon from Dollar Tree. Again, you get more bang for your buck going elsewhere, but when Dollar Tree has the Christmas stuff in, they have some really cute stuff. I also got this velvet looking ribbon from Dollar Tree that I used to create a bow that I glued to the lollipop. Like I said, I had cut out smaller circles, so I'm making smaller lollipops, and these are going to actually go inside of my Christmas tree, and it's the exact same thing except I didn't do 2 pieces of foam to make the lollipop thicker. I just did 1 piece. I spent around $25 on materials for these lollipops, and with 2 pieces of foam board and 4 wooden dowels, I was able to make 4 jumbo lollipops and 8 smaller ones. And I have a bunch of chunky yarn left over I'm going to use in another project. So by making these myself, I saved so much more money than buying them at Hobby Lobby. Even on sale, it's cheaper to make them yourself. We have extra yarn, so let's use it to make cupcakes. Again, I'm going to be using those round containers from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to trace it on that red glitter foam, but I don't trace where the lid is. I keep the lid on and trace just underneath it. I then glue that piece down to the box, and then I glue the lid back on top of the box. Now I'm going to start gluing on the yarn, and this is going to be the frosting of our cupcake. I am also going to be gluing down a styrofoam ball to the center of this so I don't waste a lot of yarn. It's easy to do this, and you don't even have to use a styrofoam ball. You can use anything you have on hand. If your child has a bunch of play balls, you can go ahead and use one of those. It's just nice to put something there so you don't end up using a bunch of yarn trying to get the look that you're going for. So you're just wrapping this around until you get the frosting look that you like. I got some fake cherries from Amazon. I'll link them down below. I'm going to be using this for the top of the cupcakes. I just glue it down. Now for your sprinkles, you can use the vase filler from Dollar Tree if you like. It's really easy. Just glue them down. And then for the icing on top of the frosting, I'm going to be using puff paint. Now puff paint, when you initially put it on, it looks awesome, but when it dries, it doesn't necessarily look the same, so be aware of that. This is how I made one with mainly using Dollar Tree products except for the yarn and the cherry. I decided to make other ones using puff paint again, the vase filler from Dollar Tree, as well as that peppermint glitter, specialty glitter that I got from Michael's, which is essentially like fake sprinkles. And then I also got these fake lollipops. I'll link them down below, and I'm going to be gluing those to my cupcakes as well. So I did some red cupcakes and some green cupcakes, and like I said, these can be used inside of your tree. If you want there to be a pick at the bottom of this, you can always use the bamboo skewers from Dollar Tree. Create a hole at the bottom of your container and then push these skewers through. Then use your glue to glue them into place. That's how I made these cupcakes that are going to be perfect for a Christmas tree. So let me show you one more DIY so I can then pair the lollipops, cupcakes, and this DIY inside of a Christmas tree. So Hobby Lobby carries these candy picks. They're $4.99, half off $2.50, but we can make a bunch of these for real cheap. You can use styrofoam balls or any ball you have on hand and then get some fabric. I got this fabric on sale. I think it was about $4.50 from Hobby Lobby at that sale price. I'm also going to be using zip ties. You can use yarn, whatever you want, but zip ties are easy to do, especially when you're doing this by yourself. So what you're going to do is you are going to cut down your fabric into a bunch of pieces, whether it's a rectangular shape or square shape, just pieces that you can wrap around whatever it is that you're using. Once you have those pieces of fabric cut off, place your styrofoam ball, whatever it is, inside of the fabric. So just wrap it around and then tie the ends. So I'm using zip ties. It's easier to use this, and I'm using red zip ties that I got from Dollar Tree, so they blend in really nicely with the fabric that I'm using, but obviously you can use whatever you like. I actually don't wrap up the entire ball. I keep the back with no fabric there. That way I can make a bunch of pieces out of one piece of fabric, and I know the back isn't going to show. So once I have it wrapped, I cut the ends just to try to clean up the fabric, and then I cut off the zip tie. You can do this, like I said, with pretty much any round thing. So I got this ball from Dollar Tree in the kids section. I placed it inside of the fabric, and I do the exact same thing, and I was able to make a bunch of these for super cheap. I already own the candy picks from Hobby Lobby. I bought them last year on clearance, and then I bought a few this year. After I bought them, I was like, oh, I can make these myself, and they're way cheaper to make yourself versus buying. So now it's time to place the lollipops, the cupcakes, all that stuff inside of my Christmas tree. I actually wasn't trying to do a peppermint look. It's pretty much what ended up happening in this video. I just think it was the pieces I already had. It just went in that direction. So I put my lollipops in. They honestly can just go directly into the tree unless the branches of your tree are very flimsy. But more than likely, they're going to be able to hold the lollipops. They're so lightweight. And the same thing with the cupcakes. I only put the steak
on one of the cupcakes, and then the rest, they're hanging by the branches. You just put them in the perfect position. I had a bunch of the fabric candies to place inside of my tree as well, and the only other items that I added that I didn't make myself were those lollipop peppermint picks that I got from Hobby Lobby, and then I also put some ornaments inside of my tree. But that's how I did this sweets themed Christmas tree, and it's way cheaper, like I said, to make the lollipops, the cupcakes, and the wrapped candy on your own versus buying them. And then you can make them as big as you want on top of that. I'm not sure if this is a theme I'm gonna do this Christmas. Let me know if you like it down in the comments. This is for a video, but I don't know if this is the actual theme I'm gonna do during Christmas time. I really do like it, but I'm on the fence if I want to do this or like a vintage theme. I don't know. For this next project, get some wood crates from Dollar Tree and paint them whatever color you like. I'm going with this bright red paint from Apple Barrel, and I got it at Walmart. I paint the outside and inside of my crate red, but you don't have to paint the inside if you do not want to. And I'm going to be painting 3 crates total. Now, one of the crates I flip over and I paint the bottom of this, and this is supposed to be the front of my train, so make sure you paint that red. Now, to make this crate look more like a train, I'm going to be using this wooden block that I got from Dollar Tree and then this wooden cube. I'm going to glue both of them on top of the crate that's flipped upside down, and then I go ahead and I paint that red too. Now, for the wheels of my train, I'm going to be using the peppermint you saw me use earlier, but there are things you could buy at Dollar Tree. Like, you could get a toy car from Dollar Tree, take the wheels off and use those. There's other options if you don't want to go to a different store. However, like I said, I'm going to be using the peppermint from Hobby Lobby that I got in a 6-pack for $1.50. I glue those down as the wheels for the train, and then I just paint things on this. Like, I don't know, I was just doing whatever. So pretty much you do whatever suits your style. I was just using white paint to do like a peppermint look in certain areas. I did glue a different peppermint from Hobby Lobby from that peppermint ornament to the front of this, and then like it was just a bunch of dots I was doing, stripes. I don't know what I was doing. I just like the way it looks. I also glued on some of these peppermints. Now, these were from Etsy. Again, I'll link the seller that I use down below. I get all my fake sprinkles from this seller while I hot glued them to my little train. And this is supposed to be a hot chocolate bar. I've done hot chocolate bars before in the past using the crates. It's just a different way to do it that is so cute. You don't even have to use it just as a hot cocoa bar. You can use it as a decoration. You can even use it to gift someone in a unique way. I love the way that this turned out. I want to make more, and you can always add to the back of the cabin. For our last DIY, I'm going to be using the toy doll houses from Dollar Tree. I'm going to use 8 total, and I'm going to be removing the roof off of 4 of the houses. And then I'm going to remove the white trimming off of each house. I'm leaving the green door there and then the green windows that are on the roof. Okay, then I cut a piece of foam board from Dollar Tree, and this is going to be the base of my house. Last year, I made a gingerbread house using these, and I want to elevate every single year, especially if I'm kind of doing something similar to the year before. So I noticed a lot of people were inspired by my gingerbread house last year, so I'm like, let me do something different. So this time around, we are making more of a 3D house, or not even 3D, it's more of a house versus just the front of a house. So I'm gluing these pieces to my foam board so I have a nice base. So I have 4 pieces down there, and then I'm going to do 4 at the top, and those are all going to have the roof. These pieces actually connect if you want to do it that way, but I decided to glue them together instead. And by connect, I mean they connect side by side, not on top of each other. On top of each other, you have to glue them down. Now, you're going to have extra roofs left over from the houses that are at the bottom. I went ahead and I placed 2 inside of the house. Then I glued 2 roofs on top of those 2. So all 4 roofs that were from the bottom houses I ended up using. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to build a base there so I can glue foam board on top of there to make this roof look more normal than this. So first, before I do any of that, I'm going to take this outside and I am going to spray paint this. I'm just using a beige color, and I'm just spray painting this so that I have a nice base. You can always use paint and acrylic paint, but it takes multiple layers before you get the look that you want, and you have to get in every crevice with your little paintbrush, so it gets really annoying. So I use the spray paint to get that base color that I need, and then I go in with a paint that's more similar to a graham cracker, and I don't really know of a spray paint that does that look off the back like right away, so I just go ahead and go in with the acrylic paint. But since I have that base color of spray paint, it already does a really good job for me, where I just have to go in with one layer of acrylic paint, and I don't really have to get inside of every nook and cranny, because if I miss a spot, the spray paint got it. So after I have that graham cracker look, I only painted it at the bottom. I'm going to fix the roof, and to do this I'm using foam board. So I cut a piece of foam board down that I place on top of the roof, and then I cut some pieces that are going to go in those gaps. So I just cut them at an angle and then glue them down to fill those gaps that are on the front near the roof. After this is done, I start to put the windows back in and that trimming. I ended up removing the doors when I was painting this to graham cracker look, because I didn't want them to be that color. Now, okay, these doors are really annoying to get back in, so you're gonna have to glue them back on. They are a pain in the butt to get back in once you put the roof on. Like, you're kind of out of luck, so you got to glue them back. After this, I painted the foam board with a color that's similar to the roof. Was this necessary? I don't really know. It's not like I know exactly what I'm doing when I'm doing this, and then I realized after, hey, I covered this anyway, so I didn't have to paint it. Anyhow, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use spackle. I love to use spackle as fake icing, and all you have to do is put the spackle inside of a piping bag with an icing tip. So I'm going to use this on top of my house. Dollar Tree does carry spackle, but my favorite spackle is the DAP spackle that you will get at a hardware store, and I love it because it's already mixed for me and I get more bang for my buck going elsewhere versus buying the Dollar Tree spackle, because I need a bunch of those little things to do the DIYs that I make, so it's easier for me to go elsewhere. I'm going to use puff paint on this. The puff paint is really good for smaller details, where spackle, if you're trying to do something that's really tiny and detailed, it just doesn't work. So I'm going to use puff paint to do a little design on top of the roof, and then, you know, just wherever I say fit. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say, because it's kind of just hard to describe. Just do you. I'm using those fake peppermint pieces from Hobby Lobby for this, so I'll end up eventually also using the peppermint pieces that are on that ornament. I'm just sharing with you guys exactly what I used, but obviously you don't have to use exactly what I used. Then you can find fake sprinkles, not a big selection at Hobby Lobby, and it's from the jewelry shop, so you're gonna find this in the jewelry section. So I found these small little peppermint pieces. They're colorful ones that I just placed on top of this, and you'll find this all year round versus the other ones that I use for Michael's, where you only find them during Christmas time. Maybe you can find them online all year round, I don't know. These peppermint sticks are from the same seller that I'm using from Etsy. Again, I'll link them down below for you guys. Now, this is what I want to say. With some of these DIYs, you're going to end up with a lot of extra if you bought exactly what I bought. So, for instance, the yarn and the sprinkles, you're going to end up with a lot of extra that you can use in multiple projects. So you can make multiple of the same DIYs or use them for other projects. I have a bunch of tutorials on my channel, so many different things to choose from for inspiration. So if you have a lot of leftover like puff paint and yarn, whatever it might be, check out my other Christmas tutorials to try to find some other DIYs that you might be able to use to make with your extra product. That's how I made this gingerbread house, and I'm so proud of this one because, like I said, it's not just like the front of the house, it's a whole house, and it came out so cool. I did end up putting some fairy lights through the back of this to make it glow. Oh my gosh, you guys, sometimes I do some DIYs and I'm like, wow, Dollar Tree should give me a award for this, even though they don't do that. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you guys next time. Take care. Bye.